I just got in the car and I tried to read it in the manual.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, you are live.
Thank you. Summary sheets as well.
Oh, that smells fine.
Yeah, yeah, take it easy on you. So kind of high level goals. I think Phyllis can hear me. Cool. Oh, say that again.
Could you hear me before? I couldn't tell if we were, if the internet had been cut, if we rebooted, or we're already back up.
Sounded
Right,
good.
so we're down.
Sounded good.
I have a million things open, and they all seem to be working okay. So I couldn't get cut off, and then I will give it on my phone.
Okay, sounds good.
Jamie?
Walk over right there, the rest is Steve here, and this.
Yes.
I think so.
I guess.
Oh, yeah, here.
I think
I
that's
just went to visit your neighbors. In San Miguel.
Okay.
I just got back last night. See,
Yeah, that's that big out on the road.
no.
Is it the first time?
Yeah. I haven't been. Order a lot. Because I would take it.
We're gonna have to pull up more chairs
Oh,
anyways, there's
sorry,
not
you
any
did,
chairs.
I was there last October. I've been there several times, but last October was more challenging.
The solace ones, oh my gosh.
The name funds. So, I don't know if it's the age or whatever, but it took me a while to adjust.
Those ones or something.
I also feel that through like the soles of your
No, but
shoulders.
then you're not careful, you can get something caught and you just,
Yeah.
I've seen ladies do that, just up down.
I have an 85-year-old friend who lost an eye when she was 19. And she taught me a lesson. She said, if you're just walking on sidewalks, you break the rule of stepping on the crack or breaking your monkey back, you don't get trip so easily. And for her, it's really important. It's really well, those cows.
Of course, the other one is healed, so you always have to do another one, so otherwise you can't. Too bad.
Yeah, because we'll have,
Cards.
how are you? Let's see.
Yeah, that's what we say.
Oh, you're in small town, when they're all-
It's small.
I think, yeah, for sure, that's your Clara.
Sorry.
Oh, did you go?
I know he has a house.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I was thinking going back. Yeah. You been?
No.
On those things.
I just love going to churches.
Well, that church is right.
Because you can see here too.
I was maybe no, I haven't been since probably like my early teens.
Like I said, it used to be okay to walk that last time I was there. It was a challenge.
And yeah.
I went back. But,
I think having a discussion about MRA too is a,
Discussion
on an MRA.
here,
Because I saw that in the throughout and I'm like,
we just finished, law school last month. They're in between the university and downtown, they did an MRA.
And then, that tech, that rehabilitated textile company.
let me see, I got a clicker.
That would be crazy.
That's the nice thing.
This was last week.
I'm so embarrassed. I was coming home from Zanzibar. And I was looking for the, observer, and I got into the DOT one. And there was nothing there, and then I went into my commissioner email, and there was nothing there, so I go, they were texting me after.
Oh, were they?
God, I was right here.
I know, I came up Thursday to get my agenda and stuff, and wasn't ready, so Friday morning, I was
I'll have to do this one today, because luckily it's not too much of an-
Sure, brother, sure, whatever.
Another.
Oh, yeah. All right.
I know. But that's what worrying about.
Yeah, so I'm like, she's always here.
That's true.
It's an exception when you just go ahead and forget something. Or I should say,
Hello, how are you?
This is how we got.
Good. How are you?
oh,
Oh, you're the one that does this.
Keep people away.
yeah.
You got a little extra sugar.
Usually out there and I got my.
Yeah. Hey, Gary. How are you?
Okay, awesome.
Her mom and the daughter was 32, was pregnant, or went to, she went into labor very early. And so they put you in for that. Baby's mine, born about 5 months. So that's like her grandmother. Their first grandchild.
Oh, congratulations.
Still in.
But it's the wrong.
All the Watkins house. Oh.
Yeah.
Are they in town?
They're
Well, looks like we'll have forums.
Right. Well, in the interest of time, I think we should go ahead and get started here. Thank you all for joining us today at this joint committee session. We will be reviewing the draft comprehensive plan. We're so excited that we were able to share it publicly about 2 weeks ago now. And hopefully you've had some time to sift through. We also have summary sheets which kind of show the high-level goals that are included in the plan, but Eddie also printed out copies of the plan for you to really sink your teeth into it. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. And first of all, I just wanted to reacquaint ourselves. My name is Allie Gillespie. I'm a planner with Site Southwest. Last time we were here, we were joined by our coworker, Danny Wilson, and we're really excited to share that she had a safe and healthy pregnancy. So she's on maternity leave and enjoying that. So Karina and I are here today to talk through the draft plan today and review kind of our process going forward.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Mine its own guidance.
Well, I mean, let's do this manually. That's right. Thank you.
Okay, so how could you move them? I mean, I hate, you don't want to turn around that way.
I can see that. But
Yeah, I know, but I can't.
I'm saying.
That helped. Oh, listen, I can.
Okay, perfect. So just to guide our discussion again, I just wanted to give you all an update kind of about what we've been doing since our last future land use session. as well as talk about the draft plan, and then kind of open it up for kind of a more informal conversation about what you liked, what you didn't like, and just where we're at with the draft plan. All right, and next slide. Okay. Again, today we're here joining as two groups for kind of these following purposes. We want to make sure that all of the kind of conversation and energy and effort that has gone into this plan at this point, we want to make sure that aligns with what the vision, those goals and priorities are in the plan. And so again, we will talk through how we got to these conclusions, but a lot of information kind of coming into these key goals, and we want to make sure that those goals are still relevant and still resonate with you all. We also are gonna, if there's any outstanding questions or concerns, things you wanna bring up, that's also the point of this conversation. And then just any edits or any dialogue we need to have as a group, we can do that here today. Okay, next slide. I'll just kind of go briefly through our planning process. We've been at this about a year now, and so we're really excited to be at the point of having a draft plan, starting back around this time last year actually, with kind of our first site visit in January, learning more about what the community vision could look like, following up with building on that information in our second site visit along the spring, which is when we met with you all and had kind of our future land use work session. We did some more community meetings, different pop-up events. We worked on the draft plan through kind of the spring into the summer, and that's what has led us to right now, today, having the draft plan available. Again, publicly, as of a week and a half ago, we sent out a big e-blast. It's available on the website, and we'll talk about how folks can read the plan in a few more slides. This kind of got squished, but I just wanted to highlight that this plan in the document in front of you is the kind of culmination of hours and dozens of conversations and interviews and the work of you all and people's time and energy. And so just to show that, you know, between our two different community workshops, having over 100 members of the public involved at that time, as a team, we spent over 8 hours tabling in Mesilla and different events, different restaurants, different activities where people could come and learn about the plan. We've done flyering, social media posts. We've presented to you all. We've done working sessions with you all, as well as our survey, which we did repush, and we ended up getting 125 total responses to kind of confirm and solidify some of what we were thinking already. So that's just to highlight that it's been a long road coming here, and we're really proud and excited to share it with you all. So as the kind of outline, the summaries on the table will indicate, these are kind of the 8 main goals guiding the plan. This touches on various plan elements from land use to housing to infrastructure and quality of life. And so these goals get at these high-level plan elements and what it is we're hoping to do. The plan itself includes information that supports these goals, as well as strategies, recommendations, and resources as far as how we can actually carry out the work of these goals. And so we're rooted in action.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Next slide. Yeah, and so again, just to touch on, the plan is comprehensive. We look at all of these elements, again, ranging from the local economy to historic preservation and how the town can start to think about certain elements in this, and really thinking about the role of, you know, the town of Mesilla as a municipality in providing these kind of services and how we want to think about that. So comprehensive, it's long. Yeah, next slide. And so as I mentioned, we launched public review on the 20th, and so we've already received about 10 comments online, and you'll see we have flyers that we'll kind of share around town so folks know that they can still comment through Friday, September 12th. And so that's true for you all as well. This conversation is meant to kind of just start that of like, how do we feel about the draft plan? But at any point, however you choose to add comments, you can reach out directly to me. If you would rather be anonymous, we have an online comment box. This is all to say that this is the start of our conversation of a review, and that you still have time going forward and prior to adoption as well. Great, and so I wanted to have this for reference, but we can come back to this. This is the kind of future land use map that was the result of our work session as well as following community workshops. It was kind of interesting. I know some of you were in attendance at the workshop, and finding that of 3 different groups, most of the maps looked quite similar. And so it's good to know that there is a sort of some consensus around what Mesilla could look like going into the future. And so again, we can kind of get into the nitty gritty in the conversation if that's what folks would like, but I just wanted to have that as reference. Yeah, could you next slide? Great. And so with that, again, I want to open this up for a more kind of informal dialogue around really what do you think? Both, does this plan really reflect the vision that we've heard, that you all have heard, that you all believe and want and see? And then also in terms of thinking about priorities for edits, if we were to adopt this plan tomorrow, what are those key changes? What is most important? And so I just want to kind of orient, these are just guiding questions, but I will just go ahead and open it up as far as if there are questions about the plan content, if there's things you'd like to see elevated, if there's, if there's any questions, I'll just go ahead and open it up for discussion now as far as, what you think of the plan.
I had a comment, but it's just relating to, because you did incorporate the overlay zone on some of these streets. And I see that as an important element because I would like to see the town manage growth instead of growth managing the town and, the reality. So we have a land use plan, we can at least manage the use of these. I mean, with this winery, first proposition came up, it was really, something very different. And it just, but having something in place where we can look at different options is important.
Right. Yeah, and that's a good point too. The comprehensive plan is this kind of high level guiding document. So the maps and the recommendations might not be, the exact parcel map that you end up passing through if you do a zoning code update and things like that. That's some of those details are for those processes. And so the comp plan is really capturing that high level vision of where growth should go, or where could it go, or where does it make sense for it to go based on those needs. So yeah, that's a great point.
Well, I've got a question. So the last comprehensive plan we had was, 8 years ago?
Mhm.
Do we need to update the comprehensive plan every so often?
Yeah, the state statute is every 5 years.
Right.
Whether they enforce that or not is a different thing, but it is. And for funding, an updated comprehensive plan can be required for a lot of capital improvements and.
Like prior to that, it hadn't been done since 2004.
Right. This is not the most out of date PC.
So,
That's perspective.
Definitely. And we might,
Before that, it was in flood plan, which was
even further.
so.
Right.
So this is like,
Yeah, we're pretty close.
we're up to date.
And I will say too, we have Phyllis Taylor on the line, just joining us. She was involved in the comprehensive plan update in 2017, and so she also has a lot of that context, and we were able to incorporate a lot of the materials we already had and kind of the goals and work we did at that point in time, and be able to adjust it to reflect what matters now, but we have that historical kind of context for those previous plans. Yeah.
Which I appreciated you including us. I think that was really important to give people perspective that this has been a long-term.
Yes.
I mean, that it's a state requirement, but really overall, one of the state's good things that they did.
Yes.
Is to encourage that kind of small municipalities.
Yes, definitely. And just to acknowledge the work that's already been done. I mean, this is a small and mighty town. There have been efforts and plans and people have been
Or things
surveyed.
you live alive.
Yes, right. Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
I had a question. There was a section where I think I'm not being one of the ones that mentioned about, the use of golf carts.
Oh.
Do you know any other municipalities in Mexico that use this and are they street legal?
That is an interesting question. I might throw that back to Phyllis on the line. Phyllis, Did you capture that? Are there other municipalities and how have they dealt with kind of golf carts?
I don't remember golf carts ever coming up in a community where I've worked.
Okay. Yeah.
So there may be communities that have dealt with golf carts, but none of the ones that I've worked with, and I've worked with a lot.
Yeah.
I know a lot of our topography is mountainous, and you probably wouldn't see the golf carts in those.
Sun City,
Sun City.
Arizona.
Arizona.
It's on.
Oh, sure.
So it's on the
Well, the thing is, at the university, we use golf carts on campus, but we can't go out into the streets at all. With the bumpers because they tell us they're not street legal. And so,
Yeah, they super around their own.
Yeah, we can certainly look into that as far as precedent. I would say as far as like the plan and your all's feeling about that, what is the sentiment? That people want golf carts or you do not want people to have golf carts?
well, the idea is that because the narrow streets, especially, during events, it's impossible to move around anywhere near downtown.
And I think it's feasible for mobility issues, that people would get picked up at a further destination that may be more mobility, challenge, whatever.
Right.
So I don't see that I see that as being possible during those events.
Sure.
Because we definitely, we get complaints from residents that things are blocked. It's hard for even vendors to get in and out when they want to because, sometimes the streets, even if they're probably going there's narrow, right? Or you have to kind of anticipate that car is not gonna come down until we get out or whatever. So I think that with thinking about how to do that we would have to write it in very specifically, like where they could be, what streets we would block
Yeah.
off in order to allow that to happen. Like if you wanted to get people in from the Cotton Gin area that we could use for parking, right? Or this parking here, or parking at
Or
the,
it's the middle school if it's,
yeah.
if the road there, that's
Or
finished.
the fireworks place, the fireworks place or whatever, they would, we could block off streets well enough to.
The case of the golf cart is probably governed by state law.
That's what I was gonna ask, so
I
if
think
you know
that-
that needs our code, then would we have to hire to make sure we're following?
Yeah.
I think so, because they would have to be licensed if they're gonna be on the street, some kind of licensing.
They do make street legal UTVs, so it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily have to make the whole card.
Yeah, like some other areas,
Either you
Right.
can
there
Right,
is.
right.
And the
That's what I
university,
was kind of thinking, is we
Yeah.
see those.
Yeah, probably one of them, to be able to put at least 8 people on it. Right, so taking, 4 and we'll be right back. Or-
But I think neighbors say use that as an agricultural. Instead of getting around.
Sure.
that's kind of the irrigation.
Yeah.
They actually also do it in Albuquerque for, the holiday, River of Lights. They do have the shuttles from the parking lot. To the town. Right, so, yeah, we can definitely look into precedents.
I think I think that it would be nice to not just have it just when there's events, but maybe on the weekends and maybe somebody with some historical background can just guide people around and tell them a little bit about our tours. Yeah. I'll volunteer for the first tour and then after that,
To get it,
to get ready.
right in your car.
Yeah, well, but I want to be able to try.
Yeah, I know that events just being so important to not only the community, but the economy and people expressing a lot of the frustrations to share. I think there's definitely ways to think about events or special kind of transportation options there. And we can definitely look into other communities and how they address that as well. What else? Other sticky points? Yeah.
Well, I have a neighbor also that's very concerned about the concept of growth, commercial growth, and changing the blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
And I think, made the comment whether Chick-fil-A will be across from Chalice if we have the commercial zone extended down Highway 28, rather need it. So again, we're always walking such a fine line between staying current and changing beyond.
There
The
are,
commercial thing, I'm a little.
sure,
But the commercial aspect of it can be managed, right? Why do you allow
But we
it?
need it, you know, but-
No, but I'm saying it could be managed as to what actually goes in there.
how that,
It's like we discussed on that portion of Highway 28 going to the Cotton Gin and you can incorporate in the future, like work and live, you know, where people would actually live there where they have their business.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not gonna be for, like, national type of.
Right.
So just to be that on that, and that's just like the concern, we have this wonderful, plan. How, he says we're gonna manage it, how, where's like, what's the next steps, and I'm thinking, like, way over there, we'll be having that commercial, who's gonna say no, because they can't, but like, McDonald's can, like, none of those should come. If they can just go to the restaurants, if they really want a Chick-fil-A, I think we need to frequent our businesses.
Right.
But if that's the case, how, if there's a lot of things here, and I know that somebody has to prioritize what we're gonna attempt first, or maybe we can do a cluster of things.
right,
That makes sense to do it one time, and then look at the next, section of how we're going to attack this whole plan.
right,
Because we can't just have it like this, because it's been like this for a while.
Right,
Since
right.
2017.
yeah,
It's kind of just sat there, and we love it, and we know we're gonna do something,
Yeah,
and now it's even
Right,
better.
right,
and
right.
So now,
definitely.
who's gonna do that? Not me.
No,
I'll participate.
I should volunteer.
Yeah.
I have a question regarding that, because really, the town through the zoning
Yeah.
ordinances and their permitting process could determine what goes into this
Yes,
area.
absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, that's the way a historical town would manage.
Right. Yeah.
But there would be mechanisms in place.
Well, actually, for once, the plan actually
Addresses
addresses this.
Yes.
Because I do think
Yes.
it's going to be.
Yeah.
But I'm a little uncomfortable with that a little bit.
Sure.
But, only personal
What, I guess.
director, no, I'm going through too many.
Oh,
I have to
You know,
say
because-
actually, because it specifically says the director of plan, community plan, which is him at this moment.
Right.
But, I do think that there has to be an implementation plan, and I think, and that's what my thing has always been as a comprehensive plan from 2004. We still didn't follow through on cluster development, which would be saving us a lot of problems since 2004. Had we done that, and we hadn't had all those outliers, we wouldn't have faced some of the things that we faced even in this commission.
Right.
And controversy, because there's an outlier zoning, because the comprehensive plan of 2004 was not taken into consideration. The other thing is, this isn't land use zoning. It's hard to say this is just a big overall plan and then have specifics in it.
Yes,
But I feel like this does have specifics in it.
yes, it does.
And, which is very helpful from this aspect of funding.
Right.
From the aspect of how to approach things.
Yes.
But to give, in the implementation plan, to me, Teresa, I better say this, is that it gives the executive branch, which, I'm still thinking of this as a municipality and government, right? Legislation is done by legislators, and the executive branch with staff implement those, right? Even though they have, a lot of participation in how that legislation gets done and so forth.
Right.
But this gives the director, it pretty much says, and if you read it, it pretty much says that the director will make decisions if things aren't clear either in the comprehensive, and that the comprehensive plan will prevail over the zoning ordinances. So that, that's a lot of
That could
leeway.
be changed, I mean.
I know,
Yeah, that's-
I know, but that's in the implementation, that's what it
There's
is right
language
now,
around
I'm not
that.
addressing it, I'm not saying that, yeah, this is a draft and I realize that.
Right.
But I feel like that's gonna need some tweaking.
Definitely. Yeah.
Because I feel like I like it because it's a lot more action oriented
Yes.
and goal oriented
Mhm.
in 2004 to 2017. I mean, people referred to it, and that was my main complaint when we started all this back in the fall, was that we, sometimes it's referred to as the law, this is what we should be doing, and sometimes, well, it's just this kind of
Right,
pie in the
it's a
sky,
guide.
dream,
Sure.
guide, and we have to stick to this.
Sure.
So I like it that it's more, it goes through the process of actually giving tools to how to get these things done.
Yes.
So I love that.
Yeah.
But the tweaking, I think,
Yes.
needs to be made there, because I think that's way too big.
Yes,
And
yes.
this is a huge comprehensive plan, and one person
Yeah.
gets to decide that this does meet this plan and it overrides the zoning ordinance, because that's what it says. If you read it. Did you read it?
I don't remember, but.
It's
I thought
It's
it
in
was
the
great.
implementation chapter,
Yeah,
it's one of the
it's
first
a
But,
very-
sections.
but I agree with you that
Yeah.
that needs.
That's-
change.
has to
So that- This is a joint effort between.
Right,
all
right.
levels.
So we had, so that,
Yeah.
so that was actually my last comment that I was going to make, but since it came up.
Sure.
But I mean, it's a really good plan, and I appreciate that all those steps are in there. I just think that's a little off-putting.
Yes,
It's a little-
definitely.
I mean, it's just not gonna work.
No.
We're gonna have chaos.
Right, right.
And I can't believe we only have 1,800 people in this town.
Right.
When we're trying to govern, and I'm sure the mayor
Right.
feels like there's 100,000 people in this town, but
And shrink.
actually.
Yeah,
It is small, I'm sure.
So, which is depressing in and of itself.
Yeah.
So that's why the housing has to be prioritized.
Right.
Because we do have families that say, I want to split my property so I can give my daughter, my son, my this, my that,
Right.
which we have done for some people, which, drives me a little bit crazy too. But we have to have a starting place somewhere.
Right.
So, I mean, but let me say, there's a couple of just little factoids. Is that, they says there's no health services in Mesilla, there is. There's, there's a rheumatologist, there's health solutions, there's doctors, San Diego. They all have, I mean, they're not walk-in clinics necessarily like emergency clinics, but they're doctors.
And they're here, yes.
And they're,
Yeah.
and they're within the town limits. So
Right.
that's a mistake.
Sure.
That's just untrue.
Yes, yeah.
So we need to correct that. And then little things like the mileage, which if we're gonna start to think of how we connect the northern New Mexico and southern New Mexico and make this whole outdoor expedition, environmental kind of thinking that a lot of people do in northern New Mexico. And if you wanna pull it down south, the mileage from here to Albuquerque in this is like 347 miles and it's only 220 miles. So that makes it, that just makes it seem like, well, we be in Colorado.
Yeah, that's not right, no.
So that, and it makes it harder to think about how to connect those two.
Sure.
And Alamogordo, you have it as like 150 miles, and it's only 60 miles. Or 135 miles or something, so it's kind of double of width. So, and we could tie it Alamogordo, because it's White Sands Missouri, Missouri we had to, but National Monument is what I'm thinking about outdoor wise.
Right.
Our park right here at the Oregon Mountains was named like the #1 campsite in the nation in one of the magazines. So, we have a lot to bring people to the area, but we have to have tracks like that. Like,
Yes.
they don't want to travel 350 miles.
Right.
200 miles seems.
It's more, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So things like, little things, little things. But if we're gonna do that, we should probably be doing that. Page 127, I have a question. Oh, well, that was the,
Yeah, and
that was the relationship to the family.
which
Oh,
I, it is intense language that we can definitely workshop to reflect, I think, a more realistic view of how these plans and decisions are made, and I appreciate you calling out the difference of like, it's a specific land use plan, but also high level and what it does and what it doesn't do. I think the implementation needs to be much clearer about how this will carry out based on how it should be.
I mean, it's almost too specific.
Yes, right.
Because it gives a lot of
Yes.
power to this plan
Yes.
and says, it'll override zoning and revenue.
Right, which, yeah, we can definitely revisit like the legal language, which would not suggest that, which wouldn't necessarily say that. And so just to, again, to reflect, more accurately reflect your process, we can kind of find too.
Okay, and Mary Ellen just walked in, and I was gonna say something about Jake Paul Peter. You know, I feel like we emphasize, like Jake, like some of the things that were suggested in here, I feel like that is being done already by the Jake Paul Taylor Historic Site. And that we don't wanna split that up, really, we need to be more supportive of that whole thing. And even if we have like, cause it says like walking tours and
Right.
digital stuff is fine, but they're already doing all that.
Right, so.
And so we don't wanna split that up and say, well, you have to pick, or something's going on, or this isn't sufficient, so therefore you have, you know what I mean? Not that we would want a variety of things, but to look at what J. Paul Taylor's Historic Site is actually doing is big, you know, it's a big deal. And so we don't want to like in any way minimize that, we wanna maximize that.
Right.
And so when we do things like in the town hall, which I really think we need to revamp the whole front of the town hall to be much more useful and much more, you know, much more entryway to Mesilla, right? That you can go into the town hall and figure out what you want to do at Visitor Center. And there's interesting stuff, and I know we've looked at that, and Russell, I mean, he's actually, you know, envisioned a lot of cool things that could happen there, but I think we have to be careful and not, we want to intersect and integrate, but we don't want to make it separate entities, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because that is so powerful, and they have so much knowledge, and so, I mean, just going to their lectures, you're just like, oh my God, you know? I mean, because it's all of the Northern Territory, it's like from Chihuahua up, you know, and it's just so good, and people need to know that.
And to your point about I don't know that that's something the town should be doing anyways as a municipality. That these are separate entities, and so supporting might be more appropriate than actually executing some of this stuff.
Right, and I think that, I'm sorry, but you have to give Billy the Kid of our stream.
Sure.
I mean, like we said, he was an outlaw.
Yeah.
I mean, we love our Billy the Kid. Actually, my family's from Lincoln County, and there's rumors that they were actually friends and stuff from, you know, long ago and stuff. But still, you know, that's not our most famous people. You know, those are not the biggest contributors to the town of Mesilla. This is those are kids.
Is someone getting arrested?
So we don't have Billy the Kid, we do have other people.
Yeah.
That really
Reflects,
represents
yes.
and reflect the town of Mesilla and Mexico, right? We don't have to have
Yes.
a Midwestern kid,
Right.
that's an outlaw.
Right.
It wasn't even filmed there.
No, he wasn't, no, he was an outlaw.
Yeah.
And not that I don't like the whole thing.
People, sure. Sure.
No,
No,
but
but just
they're bad boys, but come on.
Sure.
Yeah.
To think about that, because last week I was walking around with the senator's staff from PC, many of who had never been here before, right? Senator Heinrich's staff. And we were doing a whole bunch of deals. One of the first questions when we were here in town hall and we're going was, "Is that Billy the Kid? I forgot Billy the Kid was from here." And I'm like, "No." Jill, yes. Let's have a conversation.
He was trying to.
Right.
He was shipped off.
With those people that have never been here before that have that issue, have that perspective.
Well, and we're partly at fault, because we glorify.
Well, this was
And
Paris.
it was, we glorify, I mean, you guys mentioned it, right? We we have a lot of real Mexican people that really were, you know, contributing to the development of this city, which you talk about all the time, which we just need to replace that with that.
Yes, definitely. I think, yeah, I appreciate that. That's exactly like what we can elevate to really reflect that. I think that's a great example of something we can definitely pull
Yeah,
from.
because we've only been the US that's been purchased, and we liked it, which, you know, is a good thing in the long run, but it's the truth, right?
Sure.
And the other thing was the conservation, water conservation. I just think, I mean, we just have to somehow prioritize that, because we're in deep. So everything, kind of, a lot of things that are in this plan depend on us having a good water conservation done, and that we cannot, I mean, you know, every time I raise water, I think, oh, I need water, but I do it, you know what I mean? And, because there's not a consciousness that it's on me, you know, it's on me to not waste water and stuff, and we're just not gonna have enough water for anything.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we. I'm hoping that my neighbors, anybody that buys it is gonna chop their trees down. Of course, we haven't chopped our trees down, but, you know, well, please, you chop yours down. So I just think that has to be more of a highlight in here, that maybe some of that is at the beginning. And I mean, and I say that, and then, you know, yeah, somebody has to read it, somebody has to do it, somebody has to write it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I totally agree with that. But, I mean, I totally see how there's limited, you know, there's limited people that are willing to do that,
Sure.
that have the time to do it and all that. But I think that has to be part of this comprehensive plan, that has to be a priority, that we figure out how to use our water here.
Yes.
And that if it extends out to the county and the city and the state and like that, why not start it here? Even if the city doesn't have a good one, or the county doesn't have a good one, if we started here, and we're kind of like the little mecca, right? Besides, you know, the farmers up and down the river banks, but that we somehow, if we could prioritize that somehow.
Yeah, no, and just to respond to a few kind of those comments, I want to touch about the implementation chapter and agree that that language is really intense, can be standard, but also does not have to be applicable to everywhere. And so we can definitely rework that and kind of, again, reflect how these processes would actually be carried out. One thing that is not included in this draft, but we're developing now, is an implementation matrix, which includes all of the goals, all of the policies. It shows, it's going to be an Excel sheet that describe who is in charge, who could be potential partners. We're identifying resources for funding to carry out these projects. We're also setting a timeline for those priorities. What has to happen first? To your point, we can't do anything without water. That has to happen first. Those things have to happen within the first 3 to 5 years. And so our job too is also to put the town in a position to be able to make those decisions about what has to happen next. We definitely don't want to end up in a situation where all this, you know, effort and time gets handed over and sitting on a shelf. The goal is an actual plan. There's a lot of good, it's a big document. There's a lot of good narrative, but at the end of the day, if you need staff to be carrying this stuff out, how do you actually do that? And so we are developing like an Excel sheet that, again, will be able to be really useful for kind of staff purposes of how do we even start to think about carrying out these goals? And just our job as planners pulling together those resources. That there is state money available for this thing, or there are these partnership opportunities, and also recognizing that this plan is meant to guide the town, but that also can guide within the town's actions. That there are nonprofits and community organizations doing this work that can also help. Or will be critical to carry out this plan. And so, just
there are experts at this stuff, right? We just need to bring them in.
Definitely. And so, yeah, our goal is the most actionable plan, and with that step-by-step funding, how are you going to find that? What are those deadlines? And maybe even more importantly, the timeline of what has to happen first so that these other things can happen.
And, I think we get stuck sometimes on two things, is that the state will write, at the state level, laws are written. But as we know, every law is written with somebody's agenda, right? Everything is passed with somebody's agenda in mind. And depending on who the administration is, things are gonna pass or not gonna pass. So just because it's law doesn't mean it's right for us.
Yes.
Because, and I think people get like, well, that's the state law. Well, but it's not right for us. And if there's any, and many times state laws are written as, you don't have to do this, but here it is, right? So we have to be careful about that, because I think people get wrapped up in that. And then as much, and I'm going to open my mind more, but, the municipal league has a lot of resources, and they obviously were developed to support small municipalities at a state level. They're basically a huge lobby, which is their job, and I'm glad they're there, because they can lobby for us in a small town. But I also think that, again, it's very executive level driven, right? The mayors are very influential in that. And I love it, I think it's good, and I think the mayors do have their pulse on the town. I'm sure that Russell could tell me, I'm sure that the mayors, and I know Russell could, tell us everything that happened almost on a daily basis, right? Which I don't know, because I have the privilege not to know. So there's definitely a different role, right? And I appreciate that very much, but we have to be realistic about what our role is as legislators versus executives versus,
But, we had a case just recently of that manufactured home application. And we were basically scared to death not to allow them, because we were told the state said, in no circumstance can you get that any differently from a site built.
right?
And then others were like, holy cow, you actually voted for that? And I kind of got shamed up by a few people.
Right,
And I think that's what you're saying, it may be
Kinda like-
statewide, but maybe it isn't right from us, right?
well, and then when you get into the nitty-gritty, because we're not lawyers, we're not experts, this is my first term, I'm like, oh my God. And I mean, that's why I'm happy for you guys and municipally, because the learning curve is like this. But, so I'm just saying that I think we need to like step back sometimes, because sometimes because these come to me at knowing my whole life of living in the system, that yes, somebody had, every law is written with somebody having an agenda.
Right.
And that may not be appropriate, or you may not even agree with that agenda at that time, or whatever the case may be. But so we just need to be aware of that.
Yes.
But I can tell, I think all of us here can say without a doubt, this plan is a neat place. Well written, it's really good, start to finish. And there's a lot of discussion points, because I would like to, I know that when we first met, the other thing, and I don't know if you're, but just talk about the land use stuff a little bit more. Because I think that's what's gonna throw people off most of all. But I think that it took me a while to even,
Sure.
because when I heard it in the fall, I was
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
this is gonna be hell to read. It just felt like, oh my gosh, we're gonna lose our town.
It's
And not to Chick-fil-A, don't get me wrong, I didn't go that far.
Right.
But to just let go of some of our innate protective stances of, no.
Sure.
There's other areas, like we can incorporate in other areas too, so that we don't have to lose, the green belt. There's other areas we can incorporate.
Oh, definitely, and this plan shows that. This plan does not get rid of, this plan is looking at things that are almost already there. It's just connecting to areas, which Jerry has, University to Union, that corridor which you have listed here, which is almost nothing there. And why would we want to develop that with something beautiful, right?
And that would be useful to the local economy and
Yes,
produce
yes.
tourism.
So that's, but for us oldies, just to lose that visual that nothing's there, which is sometimes comfort, like nothing's there. You know,
Did you know that like the University in 28, that field right there, that was a friend of ours, it was his dad's. And so when they got it, then they sold it to a church. And then the state told them, you're not gonna be able to drive that much traffic up and down University or 28. So we have to also be careful with that, because if the state comes in and says you can't do it, you can't.
Yeah, and that's why the managed road part.
Right,
is
for
like
sure.
You need to be able to see what the streets, the roads can manage, and then the traffic, we already have traffic, it's just, if you're out there at 8 o'clock in the morning, there's a
Yes.
line of cars going all the way south, and
Yes.
in the evening, they're going in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And so,
And University is not helping at all. They need to open that thing up.
November 2020.
Yeah, I know, but
There's
gonna
gonna
be
be
a
a
lot.
lot. There's a little section for like.
Could you imagine?
Oh, yeah.
But I
Russell.
appreciate you just have it
on
the numbers, right? Because the perception and the numbers is different. It's just like when people come to complain about traffic violations, like speeding, and the, marshal comes in and says, no, we set different days and nobody was speeding, right?
Yeah.
So, you're
Yes.
okay. So, and that's what we've been tasked with, is how to parse all that out. But I appreciate that you have the numbers, so we can actually see that you're actually counting cars, right?
Right.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Because there was some surprises in here about how much traffic some roads had different than I would have thought.
Yes.
That my perception is.
Right.
That was incorrect.
was it more or less than you thought?
No, some of them had more traffic and some of them had less, because they had, yeah, and you could, like, some that were up kind of high, I thought, that's weird. I really never thought there'd be more traffic there, but anyways, just saying.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to clarify too, the relationship between this plan and the zoning map and anything you do with zoning going forward. And I agree that the implementation language right now doesn't reflect that, but what it should reflect and what it will reflect is that the comprehensive plan is meant to guide a lot of these like more specific processes. The land use is really specific in the comprehensive plan, because that actually is the heart of a comprehensive plan, is that future land growth management act that the state, has required for us to think about the future, so we don't end up building without water, things like that. And so this plan and information in it is, not the law. That the entire process of updating your zoning code, of changing zones, of like getting to a point where it could reflect even something that looks like this future land use map, that would be an entirely separate process. That's a zoning code update with different rules and regulations and processes. And I was telling Russell and Eddie that the state does fund that for municipalities, that there's, it's not the only one that's out of date, like we mentioned. And so there is money and resourcing available for that process, but that it is so nitty gritty and so specific and so granular that the comprehensive plan really is meant to help like guide that process. The idea is that in a year now, whenever you go to update your zoning code, that you can look at the plan and say, okay, but this is where we're trying to go. And so it's meant to help guide decision making, but I also don't want to give any idea that the future land use map that's included is like exactly what it will be, and this parcel is going to be this. It really is more of like a schematic, and that to guide that more like specific legal process. Yeah.
And I love that, and I think that needs to.
And we can also like really clarify that too as well, of kind of how these plans interact and again.
Yes,
the
because
role-
I think that eases people's minds too, that are saying, oh my God, my price to match it, what's
Right.
gonna happen with all this?
Yeah.
I think it's also important to note that as it's been mentioned, that it's kind of the guide, and we have information that points us in the direction of from out or feedback that we've received from our community, as well as internal, from the processes through going through all of this. Well, you brought up a great point with water, and I think that it's important to know that the direction of these things, and this plan also gives a direction to go after other stronghold planning, such as a water master plan.
Right.
And there would be a long-range 10-year, 20-year, 30-year plan for infrastructure for our community, for not just, water line replacement, water line addition, you know, sewer line, you know, wastewater lines, you know, so it's additional wells if needed, you know, looking at how we're going to support farmers and talking about how we can sustain agriculture. That comes with a master plan. This is the as it's been mentioned, over top communication and ideas. Then we drive down on more specific plans with master plans for water, master plans for freshwater, wastewater, roads, parks and infrastructure like that. So there's,
Historic
you know,
inventory, yeah.
historic plans, you know, so, which we talk about in here and talk about getting these things updated. But that truly happens with a master plan. And in that master planning, there's more in-depth
Yes.
that goes into those specific areas.
Yeah, those are the engineers.
Yeah, and that's where we get that from. And so I also wanted to point out that this year with because I think we had that high level discussion previously, that this year was the last year, and we were one of the last communities to get the comprehensive plan ability through DFA. They're no longer doing this through funding for municipalities anymore. So this is literally the last time that we'll be able to do it through them, other than us coming through our own resources moving forward or finding ultimate program. But there is money that is available through DFA for us to go after for water master
Specific,
plans
those
and then going into those. So where we do a plan like this, now we can drive down on some of those specifics. Now, granted, we can only go after two of these plans every 3 years. So it's going to be a kind of a rolling thing that we work on. Or we seek alternate funding through capital outlay or, you know, other funding sources, as it's being mentioned throughout this plan and some of the potential partners in there. I think that's the extreme part, because then it tells us what we can move forward to make some of this become a reality, definitely what it is. So.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty clear in this, that it's not, this is the be all, knowing, I mean, this is the thing, that we have to report, this is an overall. But the water thing, I think just logically, we haven't spent enough time in general.
Well, we haven't spent any time.
Yes,
But one of the things I was reading about was alternatives, because a lot of people want to plant pecans, which is high water usage. But there's other concepts, like one of them was vertical farming, which uses, there's a lot of concepts for land use and still grow stuff on your property that doesn't involve a lot of water. But and again, we have an MSU right there that's doing research in a lot of these areas. Why don't we? We have all this green, whatever, farmland. But farmers are running out of options, irrigation wells cost a lot of money, and they don't have.
and they're noisy,
I know.
and they're.
And they pollute, yeah, but EBID, but EBID used to be plentiful water, but it's not anymore. When I was growing up, we had it all the time to irrigate fields. So that's why a lot of people are opting to develop the land for other purposes, but if they knew there was options to water use.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why water has to be an overarching, really long-term plan for us. It's to even
Yeah, and that's,
keep our green
like
belts.
the overlay zones, like the university, they could have the concept of that vertical farming to sell their, their products, out of their cottage industry.
Yeah. No, and to your point about partnerships too, I think we do call it in on NMSU as this opportunity that we have these agricultural constraints, we have these resource constraints. We also have the state land grant university.
We had that state land grant who is supposed to.
Who's dialed in on all the techniques, and so uplifting NMSU as a partner in that. How can those institutions, the town and this institution that has a big impact in this area, how can that, and just to say that, we did pull that as a strategy, that we have this problem, they have some kind of answers, and so how do we work together to actually carry that out and get it to a position where farmers can access those resources, or that these methods are shared.
Allow them to come in and teach us.
Right,
What we need to be doing.
Yeah, educate us as to especially us, like we're making decisions.
And all the farmers that are leaving their fields.
No, because they don't have water.
They don't want to plant fields because they don't get the water they need.
Right.
And neighbors.
And
Right
labor,
now.
right.
But, yeah,
If you're getting an inch per acre, so you can't develop that.
No.
That's impossible.
What else? Other high level, comments, concerns, questions?
I mean, other than just the language in certain areas, and I think breaking down who's responsible to find these ideas, because I know the first meeting, I know I had said that we have a lot of issues, but we don't have any plans, right? We don't have any solutions, and that was the biggest concern.
Yes.
But now I think we need to go a step further because, yes, there's all these resources have been available for years.
Right.
We've just never tapped into them or done them. And I think a lot of the responsibility is on us as trustees to go out there, start that initiative, go do it, have a plan. And as Carolina said, sometimes we don't see the idea until it comes forward. Like we had the person wanting to start the winery and the tasting room. That's new, that's something we hadn't seen. We have to be open-minded to those different options and then take those ideas, go to our community developer, and for their community developer to find us a plethora of all the resources we need to find, and we can take that initiative and actually make those contacts and try and get that going and get the ball rolling. Because I think in the past 2 years, we've all done a pretty darn good job of really updating what we need and really not changing, but adjusting to fix the issues that we have at hand, that we keep saying are issues, but have done nothing to fix it.
No, and I appreciate that too, of how can we, again, equip you all with the tools to then be able to do that and take on that initiative. But there is funding, there's programs, there's partners, there's regional things, there's all of these little funding sources and projects and grants, and so wanting to, and not only just compile that, but then actually demonstrate that these projects can be carried out by the work,
A short-term rental.
Right. Right.
So many people are upset by it, but we had nothing to say, we can't do it.
And a lot of it was fear that we were just gonna blow up, and it hasn't, and it's been fine.
Yeah, right.
So I think a lot of it is just being open-minded to what's happening, and to Trustee Cadena's point, all of that gets nailed down when we start working on the ordinances.
Yes.
And that is where our detail comes in.
Right. So, and just as your role as just board members and trustees of being able to implement, carry out those policies and advocate for that, we want to also put you in a position to be able to legislate and represent the community in that way. What else?
Will you, I mean, we briefly touched on it, as a question, but will you dive just a little bit more into the overlays and the thought process behind the overlays? Or, as it's mentioned, it's Babson University. As those two in particular, is there any other potential overlay zones like 292 or Motel Boulevard or something along that line?
Yeah, and I will throw that question right back to you all as far as where those overlay zones could make sense. And we're saying 282, is that?
292 is Motel Boulevard. I'll pass it.
we have 3 weeks.
I am right over there, and I'm trying to get some big directions on, Triangle Paso 292 North South Boulevard. Between the horse corral and.
It's been high level conversation.
It's like, what does Amazon do?
Yeah.
Are there other overlay zones? This map kind of coming directly out of the conversation we all had back in January now. February? And so, yeah, I would open that back up as far as if there are kind of things within those zones. And to your point about with the purpose of an overlay being you have a little bit more control over what gets developed. So sure, it's commercial, but that doesn't mean it should like just come in based on those zones, if that's how you choose to write it that way.
And again, it lends itself to these cottage industries, like I said, vertical farming, you can grow, different things, herbs or whatever you want, to have hopefully a market around it. So,
I'd love it if we had a farmer's market on the property.
Wouldn't that be nice?
like farmers are dwindling.
I'm kind of curious, has there been a farmer's market? There has to
We
have
had a
been.
farmer's
Okay,
market at
and
one time.
then what?
Well, we had farmers.
But there used to be a market
Yeah,
here.
but we used to go to, I can name.
No, it
all
wasn't Saturdays, because that's
the
just
fruits
Tuesday.
and vegetables or
Wasn't
everything,
it?
but they're not.
And they're not.
And it's kind of a generational thing.
Right.
And I think we had a farmer's market, and I remember the Watson family from San Miguel used to bring in there.
Yeah, see, and I remember that because we go directly to the farm. Right, always, what's the market? I mean, just a bunch of different people, but either way, I mean, that is incorporated with what people can do with their land, right? They could grow crops to sell locally, and then we could call it local Mesilla crops.
And there's
then
stuff
people
they
come
could do
and
to grow, I mean, like I said, herbs, like people are, using these for everyday purposes nowadays, and so, or lavender or something that would sell.
Well, and I go to the farmer's market specifically to get farm produce, you know what I mean? So I would rather do it in Mesilla, and I used to do it as a kid by going to the farms,
And I do believe it is listed as a strategy. I'm trying to remember, it might be under historic preservation in terms of talking about historic agricultural use. I do believe it's listed as a strategy, but.
Which would be good, and you don't need that much property.
No, you don't.
So
Yeah.
I guess it's the question, and just to run it back for everybody at the table, is that we were in here, they're looking at the proposed mixed-use corridor overlays as University Avenue and Bouts. Is there potential for other areas to, like, going down here, going north towards El Paso? Could that be right here in this whole area? Could that be,
Oh, but it's something to consider, because, I think we need to look at all the potential avenues for us to be able to manage the land, like I said, land use, instead of them reacting when something comes up, they'll have a plan. We're always reacting sometimes.
could by the north it be one of those going all the way up to the river where it has the potential of having that overlay?
Yeah, even to Snow Road,
A big river park, like Carlsbad. Oh my God.
I mean, that's the thought for, it's put in there for land use with working with IPWC and potential what the community might want to have on the river road. Because that is in here with all the conversations. It is also in our capital improvement plan.
But you're talking about page 24
24.
and the orange proposed.
No, not the proposed future
Oh, no.
commercial, the purple. It's the proposed
Mixed
mixed
use.
use corridor
All
overlay.
the way down Bouts and University.
Yeah, 'cause that's where it's proposed on.
Yeah, and we're thinking it could be more than that.
I mean, it's just asking if that is a.
no, I would agree, because I think the more we can look to plan.
Yes,
Like I said, instead of reacting to a future request, we have a plan already.
Yes.
Use
other than
And even this area,
further down.
right now, we're looking at this side. And then, measure kind of sur, kind of north.
I would think kind of north of that way, it's not cutting through the historic zone, but, and it's already going through farmland, but there again,
I don't know,
I don't know what the right, because if you think about it, there's already big 5 acre plus plots that go down that whole, down by the north end. There's the clay shoots are doing hunting, and farming and doing things there. Maybe there's the potential of having a roadside honey stand, which they can do right now presently, but where we create that
Yes.
But I could see that,
Yeah.
down that area. It's like-
Yeah, I think, yeah, to your point, Russell, we can include it as potential. This is all potential proposed schematic. This is all for you to really sink your teeth into in a different process. But that we could call other, potential routes out. Yeah, anything else on this map that?
Just still having a hard time wrapping my head around the mixed use definition.
Sure. In thinking about, mixed uses that you could, I think a common analogy is when you have, the shop on the bottom and then housing on top or in back. And that is mixed use. That right now, these are separate, that you have to have your housing, live over here, work over here. But that if you actually look historically, we know that there's historic precedent for houses and shops on the bottom, houses in the back. And so it would be just allowing that by right, rather than kind of right now, the process variance, and we also can't spot zone, we're not gonna just change certain things, but the idea is flexibility. And when we come to define how flexible, that's the zoning code update process, which is for you all to really think about how flexible and what that could look like.
I think that was originally proposed because we have families trying to keep their land and they need to be able to use it to afford their land and continue using it to stay.
Fair.
So I
So
think,
farming it.
yeah, so in mind, again, the tasting room, we wanted them to
Right.
go on
But
there, but be
again,
able to.
I wanted them to grow
Exactly.
grapes and be a
Exactly.
true cottage industry, because they really didn't present.
Correct.
That's why all the conditions I said.
Because our code now says
We
that,
wanted that too.
yeah, we allow cottage industries, but the definition of a cottage industry now no longer matches what you can do. And sometimes it's not feasible, like that
Correct.
particular
Yes.
business, we know what. See, I mean, to me, the flexibility should be built in to do things like that.
Yes.
Correct. And not have all that, and not have a lot of, leeway. No, not have a lot of conditions.
Gotcha.
Not have a lot of conditions and have the leeway, because in my view, like I would like to say, just bringing up the Luna Rosa, even though it fell through, I believe, the sale,
It did.
is that after all that, it fell through. Is that, see, to me, Luna Rosa has this huge reputation, right? And we know that. We don't live in a vacuum. We know that Luna Rosa has been there where it is, the restaurant, for a number of years. We know that their winery in Deming has been there for a long, long time. We know they're gonna stay. So to me, I don't care if they grow their grapes in Deming. They can have a pretty wine. I don't care. They don't have to, but they're gonna contribute, they're gonna stay. They understand the culture. And to me, that's what we have to consider.
See, that's
First-
that's
first-
frustrating for me on the P and Z, because when we try and give somebody leeway, it feels like we get hammered for not listening or reinterpreting the code.
Right, but that's our job. It's not your job. Because P and Z should stick to the ordinance. We should be able to look at an industry because I
It
don't
won't
want.
get to you without us.
Right, but you can, like you did, I don't think you passed it, and we talked about it. Or you guys did pass it, and then it was whatever it was. But that's how I looked at that particular one. Now, if somebody came in from somewhere else, and I had no idea what they were doing with that, I have a good example of that are now left the town of Mesilla, is that they came in thinking that they could build a business that is not allowed. But and then they were turned away, were turned down over and over lawsuits, they're gone. But I would like to, as the town of Mesilla people that want to move us ahead, I'd like to have that, I think that's what I'm charged with. That's what I'm charged with as being a trustee of the town of Mesilla. I'm charged with looking at a situation, saying, this doesn't fit, this does fit, even though it's not in the strict code, within the strict code So to me, that's my job, is that I can say, Luna Rosa, I trust them. There's other people that are coming out of Illinois or whatever, I don't think they know what they're getting themselves into, you know, and they get, and they're gone.
But see, I have a problem with that, because I think that we should follow the codes for Lunar Marcella, or for Eddie, or for me, they should be followed, and then I think also that if there's a condition, we should be able to state a condition.
Well, I mean, I think if it's useful, but if it's just something arbitrary or something that's doesn't really change anyway, it's a matter of perspective. And the problem is the reason that Eddie struggles so much and the planning and zoning struggles so much and we struggle so much is that they're outdated ordinances. And that's what we fight about.
But it's still.
Right?
it's still-
That's what we fight about, is that these things are, well, I know, but we can't, I mean, the process, yes, the process of changing.
Is high priority.
Yeah.
I mean, you all are nailing it, getting this document updated, and that's just.
Yes,
and
but we don't know how to change things, and we can't change, and no matter how much we change it, it's not gonna fulfill it.
Yes.
We're not gonna be able to, we're still gonna have those exceptions, that we have to use intelligence and responsibility and accountability in making a decision. You know, that's what I think our role is as government, right?
No, the role of the plan as that guiding document also to do exactly that, to document what it is those needs are, what it is the opportunities are, what is it your constituents want, what the residents want to see, that this can help kind of show exactly what it is. It's up to you all to figure out the terms of that in like legal zoning code, language, but that you do have a document that reflects like a broad consensus of where we all want to go. And that's,
And just like this, and you got a wordsmith,
yes.
that's probably your specialty, is wordsmith. Ordinances are like that too.
Yes, yes.
But, I mean, some of us have been around long enough to know that that ordinance was put in because of this. But somebody new coming in, the directors, the staff, they don't know that history. They're gonna read it for what it says on paper, right? And so that's our job to kind of interpret that no, that's not really ideal, you know what I mean? Not that that's the law, but no document is written so precisely. I mean, a medical document is written. Legal documents are written, like, look, right now, it's state statute, you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
there's contradicting information in the same law. I mean, we're just saying that there's never a perfect situation. Because we're not wordsmiths.
But that's where we have negotiation and working.
Right. That there are processes.
And
Try to
majority
get there.
rules kind of.
Yes, to get to that point.
Yes. Right. Yeah, and those processes which extend beyond what we've done even in a year. I mean, you see the work, time and energy that has gone into this, and it's scratches the surface as far as that work. But this plan really being that key to all of the next steps, all of those special plans, all of the funding, all of the, the policies that have to happen first in order to allow these kinds of things. I think, that we have kind of a good timeline, and that we can really visualize that even more in the plan to communicate that things have to happen in a certain order. Is there anything else, other comments? Could you flip to the next slide, please? I just have a few more guiding questions about, just again, high level, yeah.
We saw 4 minutes. So.
Oh yeah, so we have, okay, yeah, well, we definitely,
Plus you got some very fun stuff, so.
Yeah,
All
thank you
three,
for
right?
joining us.
Not to put you
Not
on-
to put you on the
not to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I have more though.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, let's go.
I was like, I'll jump in first. Well, on page 24 as well, just to open up more further discussion and just to think about it. Because we have the proposed future commercial, that's in there, and then, the proposed for, annexation. I think that there's a lot of proposal potential in here
Yeah.
and it came from community feedback. the question that I have, for both sides of the table, for the planners as well as the trustees and the planning and zoning commission, is when we look at the proposed future commercial, coming down, 28 in the Avenida, we're just looking at it on the east side of that street, but why not the west side?
But that's why I suggested doing that as an overlay zone or something in that area too, because it's just the kind of roads there.
You could live in the house and have a.
Yeah, I mean, a concept like that would be, you know, you could have an artist who wants to have a gallery, and live in the back, and open up a business.
And maintains
Maintains
the
the
farm.
integrity. So that goes behind roads, I know, they're, you know, trying to go, but if you could integrate buildings into the research of it.
But there are other things I didn't see it. You mean the places that orange, I just don't think there's.
On the other side, we're talking
On
about.
the other side, the other side of home.
Yeah.
But eventually they could, but they could, people go. It's happened in other
The
cities.
DS, right, and not that they're not doing that, I lost it. All of that is on that side.
Well, last year was zoned different, so a few years ago.
Right, I'm just saying that that's a good idea to do it a multi-use so that those families, if need be, right, and it's on this bond. Which I think doesn't have a long time. That the kids have an option to maybe use it
In the property, right?
on the property.
And they could live on the property.
And they would still live on the property, or grandkids could live on your property, or where, I mean, people could live on
Yeah,
the property.
but right now the options are not
There.
there. I mean, I'm saying,
And the DSs and who else is right on the street? So those, that might work, I mean, that might be a good
are you
idea.
going down all the way to you?
And it would already, which would then open up, because if we're proposing to change the other side of the street to commercial and then limit into residential, it's not very.
No, and that's why I think we should
Right?
consider that.
That's what
So
you're
then
saying.
considering the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
space makes sense.
Because
That makes sense.
we don't have a lot of land for this, and those are corridors anyway.
No, I think that's good.
I'm having a hard time seeing the proposed residential because it's kind of,
Yeah.
where is that? Is that my table or the planning session?
It's this, correct?
No.
Yeah, this is a little,
I mean, those parts, I can't.
It's a lighter yellow or what is it?
It's a lighter yellow, and it should be striped as well.
I just know the table I was at, we talked about going along with it. Like,
Yes.
we want to expand.
The one that I have.
Expand the houses there.
yeah,
And represented.
Jump off of this real quick.
That is the one remaining kind of farm area. Adjacent, right here. I just, because I thought that was sort of one of the higher priorities that we wanted to
Was more finding housing
residential, yeah.
And I think also in terms of, yeah, residential, the annexation plays into that, but yeah, I'll look that into this.
So then we can zoom in.
But
yeah.
does it exist, the proposed residence?
even this,
I don't see it.
What's up?
even this is.
Yeah, just look at the pizza.
I mean, for sure, overall, you could have
So which one?
I'm talking about proposed residential, which should be yellow hat.
Yellow hash.
But I don't
So
see
there's commercial, actually.
Not.
So,
Right, but I'm just saying, for those families in RS zones and RD zones, that maybe
So
want
do you want layover areas in that?
well, I'm just thinking, I mean, just not layover areas, but maybe flexibility, I mean, I
Well,
think
no,
they
they
are.
are.
But that's what overlays do.
Yes,
Yes, but that's what, that's proposed, that we would,
Yes.
and so I really like that, right, we're giving everybody flexibility, which my whole point was, is that it's nice to have to give as much flexibility with as much guidance as possible.
Yeah.
So that, the quality doesn't.
Yes, flexibility within.
We did mention that though, that we're doing flexibility in those RF zones.
Yeah, it's in here. And
Okay.
I really liked it, because I think that is a problem. That 5 acres, if you're not gonna farm it, you might want to build a couple places for berries, I know.
Right.
And that, and for green lines in here.
Yeah, I mean, they're all crazy.
Do a one.
I think Mesilla is evolving and will continue evolving. I mean, right? Longer than we have to hear,
Exactly.
And so there should be planned approach.
I mean, just like on the other side of the river, where that housing development came in with all those, more. all those
Vineyards.
On a vineyard, it's
Yeah, it's a nice concept.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And the hardest one.
So why me?
People wait for the first one.
The other one on here that I wanna ask everybody about, so potential overlay here is what you all are saying?
Yes.
And then down 292,
Well, that's the other core of the residence.
on that side.
Whatever you call it, sure.
I was gonna say, yeah.
The other question that I noticed on here is, if you look, and I don't know if this was discussed or not, but we're seeing, because this is where Palacio is, right? So then we have one business right here that does go into the first block on this side that's point serving, that is a commercial business that has been allowed. But now you're seeing businesses coming down this side of the block as well, to have potential for that overlay. And I just want to make sure to bring that up, because I noticed that when I drove down on this, it was like interesting. So, and I don't know if we had that discussion, much less if that's something that is part of the
The
discussion.
reason why it was approved is the zoning changes, because they couldn't rent it, nobody wanted to rent it, so when it was an apartment.
Right, exactly. No, and no doubt, I didn't remember that.
But again, if you look at that street on Moise, on the east side of that potentially change over the course of time.
Well, I think that's the interesting part.
It's not even being, I guess.
Whole area, when we look at it as a whole, because maybe these ones would need to have that same potential overlay if we do keep it one block in like that. But this right here, this property in specific is where the Peñas have their, the plumbing, yeah. And it takes up that both sides of the block, that both front Avenida and front, San Albino. So the potential of a full block on that one is reality. But some of these that are in the coming down farther where trustee Badeno was mentioning some of these other homes in here. I mean, this was already kind of an overlay in the last comprehensive plan to come up to this point already with commercial. So really, it would be the potential of that, but looking at it from a block in. That's why I just wanted to.
Lot versus
I wanted-
just the facing property.
Just the face avenue,
But I think-
property, that's why I just wanted.
But I think it happened with where Moy is right now, it's a lot. Yes, that's why I say potentially other people that own property may more than 6%.
Yeah, but they're gonna be flooding the commercial.
Right.
Well, I think that when we look at this as well, and this was part of a different conversation down the line, looking at this, and like the map that Eddie has in his office, is if we look at some of these that have already been converted, like Palacio, like Chala's, where the tattoo shop is, those are all rezoned as general commercial and not historic commercial. But this isn't a historic zone, so I think what needs to be taken into consideration is that if we do these ones up to this point, this needs to maintain its historical integrity, and regardless, it still be historic commercial versus general commercial.
Could there be mixed use in that area?
Yes.
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 I know,
It's already allowed.
I got by heart, it's got.
Yeah, mixed use is already allowed in historic, so.
And that's where a design overlay would come into play of how it's zoning, you can determine that, but now we can also say it's also for historic area, here's what that is. Yeah, yeah. So there's ways to protect that, but that raises a good point. Do people have thoughts about extending it onto the back block? Or should it just be that first, the facing of the house?
I'm thinking just a face, because there's a lot of residential property there that might not be.
Okay.
As if you look at a whole lot, and that next lot
Starts to.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can adjust that. And then we'll add in those over, the potential overlay zones and those other, what we have, we have 292, and we talked
This side of.
expanding it across, yeah. Okay.
292 is weird because most places are
Where does it begin? Last road?
Oh, no, well, look at that. If
Okay,
there's,
the other side is Las
yeah,
Cruces.
yeah, the other side of Las Cruces, and we take out a little, so to me, we have to be careful with that, because just that, those sections are A, and then it goes over M. And then if we extend, if we do, maybe think about annexing that property up, just to maybe overtake some of the, because I think, you know, entry intimacy is important, right? You know, you're moving into something. So, I don't know, but, you know, I gotta, I mean, it's just, I think it's just hard for property owners overall because of water and things like that.
But yeah, again, even just this conversation being proactive to be able to hate to turn around. You hate to send people off because the code's not updated and they're not allowed to, and even though it's a great idea and it fits and they would contribute, hate to get in the way, and so also wanting to, yeah, again, provide as much
Because then
opportunity.
you do give the opportunity to make the winery and not industrialize, whatever.
We'll pick up 292 as well down on that side where the possible annexation is lined out on this one. Is that there's still unincorporated areas on the opposite side of 292 that are presently commercial, that are presently industrial. That could also be a potential to look at that are unincorporated on this side that are not part of Las Cruces or the city.
Residential.
What's that?
Residential.
There is some residential in there as well, exactly. And so-
Yeah, it's just a mixed bag. And
And that might be the potential for those, for the hotel that Mesilla has, and that's where it goes, down on that side closest to the highway, if that is a possibility. I don't know.
Right.
Who knows?
Not a big chain hotel.
Well, boutique hotels are great, right? When you think about the Hilton
well, there's a
ones that they have that are those unique boutiques, those are nice. Those are fun hotels.
coach hotel. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that needs to be considered, but, you know,
Right, I'm just wondering, like, what if the route was said, no, I don't want to do this.
That's part of the process, that's what happens, so. That's because there is no, in any of this, that's with the potential, and it's a process, it's not just. Oh, we're to do.
Yeah.
You're delayed. It's not working out, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all gonna send it.
Right, yeah, that's a, yeah, we don't want to, it's a whole other legal. Yeah.
Let me ask about that one little subdivision that's like,
Free art.
that's not even, are we gonna try and incorporate that?
So Capri and Capri Art are already on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
Oh, there,
But,
just on the other side of
yeah, so that's where you're seeing
oh,
this
great.
here right now, so this is moved down, coming this way. right? So there's Capri, Art is here, Capri is here, everything you see in yellow right here
Right.
is all ours. And then there's a little offset with Ritter, on this side that's also in this here. Ritter is, but there are some parts down here where it's attached, that aren't, it's still part of the county, so that is potential, you know, so.
Is that what along the ditch? Is that what that?
Yes, that is the ditch right there on that side. So that's where you see the lateral comes in here, and then it comes down, the lateral comes down on that side as well.
I thought it was called, Capri Art, for sure. I don't remember. Is it, this little area right here? That's not incorporated.
Oh, that road,
Is that,
that's like Lucerne cuts back
Oh,
on here, or cuts it in the U right here, and that is, part of the county. And then there's a neighborhood that's directly across from Mesilla Park Elementary. It's an established neighborhood that is part of the county there as well. And I think that's what was being reviewed with the immense potential of where, and this is all from work session.
Can you ask about, like, you know, the blacksmith shop? I mean, what,
People are scared to death of that.
no, I mean, just for an example, I mean, there's things to provide, I mean, that we're thinking about our residents, but when we think about the town of Mesilla, I mean, there's, so maybe Russell can talk about what, how do we figure out what belongs to the town, or what we want to belong and incorporate to the town of Mesilla and buy it, or, you know, do whatever we need to do. I mean, there was some talk about that particular property, not that long ago, but so I just kind of, and so, I'm not sure I'm clear.
Acquisition, like the
Yeah,
town.
like what, how, yeah, because it talks a lot about acquisition in this comprehensive plan.
Well, I think that in my view on acquisition, especially for the town, my personal view, and you all can help out, and I think it's everybody that's literally at the table, and, but more so, it's our residents, they kind of dictate what that is and the needs of that. So, like, for me, when I continually have these community meetings and community engagement sessions, and work out those things, and the residents are saying, blacksmith shop, blacksmith shop, blacksmith shop, that makes me already, how are we going to try to look at the potential of acquiring that for the town, or having a nonprofit acquire that to help with restoration, or working with the landowner presently to work on the restoration of that property and getting it on the register. If we, just like how we see and we hear, and it's constantly mentioned in here, is the potential of other parks and green space that happens in that, right? So then it's a need of that. It's, you know, pickleball courts are brought up every single time that I have a community engagement session in doing that. But the reality is, where do we put a pickleball court? Because it does not need to go into a high density residential neighborhood. So it's not going to go by the public safety building. It's not going to go here at Commemorative Park because there's residents that are right there. That's all they're going to hear is, you know, back and forth. So it's going to have to go out in an area that we look at acquiring as a town acquiring a piece of farmland that is now a 5-acre plot that has a couple of pickleball courts and a large beautiful park on it that helps create infrastructure that's out in that area. Maybe that's a possibility. But it comes dictated by what the community wants and what the community needs.
The property on the corner of University and Highway 28, which is not being used as a site for the construction.
say that again, I'm sorry.
That property is on the corner of University and Highway 28, now it's used by the construction company.
Right.
Is there potential to acquire some of those But that might be that area. Yes. What a pickleball, whatever it's called. And then a park in that area, and some parking.
Or you guys could rent part of the ball
Anything is
subdivision.
possible, really.
Because they'd be close to the.
I picked up a ball eventually.
It's a conversation, and that's it. The community drives that conversation, and we can give it the landowner.
Community good.
And see what that looks like. They might be amenable to selling or to leasing, long-term leases, who knows?
But if
what
they
that
can't
looks
build
like.
the church, I mean, they could.
Yeah, the question is like, will the Guerreros want to negotiate type of Mesilla for that piece of property? We have to have that conversation, right? You have to give that conversation.
Well, when the others don't own it,
They don't own it anymore.
they sold this a lot, gentlemen and convicts.
Well, these are-
I think, so that makes sense, that I mean, this seems to talk about things like that a little bit more concretely. I mean, which is good, but it's, I'm not sure that I totally got my head around how that would.
Yeah, I think that they're also going off of some of the things that are in our capital list. So we have a lot of these controls that are already set within our ICIP
And
for park updates and things that, right? So, and like talking about the potential of working with IPWC to do some sort of infrastructure down at the river.
Right.
And because it is fully mentioned throughout all of it. And that gives that potential, and it gives the direction for the team to say, okay, let's work on this, and this is an idea of what the community wants and how we want to go forward. A lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is, that
Yeah.
has to
It
get
is.
a lot of attention, that is one of those things that you think, but there's so many other things that you feel like, I didn't really see all that feasible, but at some point it becomes feasible, I need it. Because, you know, when there's a good amount of use.
Then you get buy-in from residents too.
And that's
That's also part of this process is that we did go out and hear what these projects are, and that's what's included. And so if you go out to champion some of these projects, they come from your constituents, they come from residents. It is what they want to see.
And I think it's well referenced, and I compliment, supplying a lot of information and putting it in there. Because it was very helpful.
Yeah, definitely wanting to compile the work that's been done to their plans and codes and rules and all, yeah. We just want to,
You know, that was the stats, and it was very helpful. And, you know, when you do go out and talk to people, that you just have those with
yes, yeah. And for funding, I just can't emphasize enough the role of the grant for funding, not just as a municipality, but for the organizations that want to do this work, people seeking grants. A lot of the data in there is aligned with those key statistics that, you know, state applications look for, federal grant applications look for. They want to demonstrate need, and so all of that's also in there for easy reference as you go to apply for different companies and things.
I think that becomes a hard thing for us too in that sense, because if you drive right down into the numbers that are in here, like when you look at the median income, for 48% of the residents in the town of Mesilla, the median income, household income is over $200,000 a year, and I'm going, okay, there went our potential for low income funding, you know, so. And then another one that I brought up to them earlier that I found very interesting is how we had in housing, that was, you know, a decrease in the number of total houses, you know, by almost 100 or a little over 100 homes in the statistical numbers. But then what we're looking at is an increase of not new homes, but an increase of old homes. In that it's just the analytics behind all of it, all of it, so.
Yeah, there's not.
Yeah.
And the mid-mansions.
Which
is, but even, you know, the historical homes that are done, which is kind of pointing to a, I or the perceived problem that people can't afford live here and save a lot of money,
Yes.
which is not a good problem to have.
See the occupation with doctors flying in as the number one occupation for as a resident of town. This town just makes it interesting.
Yeah, the data tells a really interesting story, and then just with the narrative, what we've heard, and like to your point of what you perceive to be true versus what data shows, and vice versa, how can we explain some of this, that the housing stock is aging, so that's fine, yeah. I do just want to reiterate, we still have some time for questions and comments, but that this is just the first conversation that I wanted to have with you all. You'll see in all the plan materials, there's information about how to follow up with comments. You can reach out to me or Karina, you can again leave them anonymously in the online chat. We have plenty of time still, we have over 2 weeks to incorporate that kind of feedback and findings into kind of the final draft, which we'll be presenting to the Board of Trustees at the September 22nd meeting. So it does give us, some time to really dialing in on finishing this up, really fine tuning, all that good stuff. But just again, this is not the last opportunity to talk. If there are other things, or as you read through or dive in deeper, that we're still available with it for comments. At this point, are there other comments or questions? Anything else we can kind of tease out here while we're here?
You know me, I'll keep going. Those of you that know me, jump in there, please.
Yeah.
Please talk before I continue talking.
Not this one.
Yeah, it's a big document, so
But you guys started, but they started reading in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And so my last few slides were just to show again that we've been doing, we'll have about a month of open draft review. We've done this work session just now, and that will be back, I think we'll do a virtual presentation on the 22nd. At that point, we will have a final draft available to the board well in advance of the meeting. And so again, we can go through and find those changes. We can also, we will incorporate sort of summary document of what those changes are based on this conversation. That way you don't have to go dig through and find the specific sentence you're looking for. We can, present on that. Again, just to show just the process again, that got about a month of feedback, and we'll be in front of you all in a few weeks here to present again. And then there's that next slide has the our information. There's the plan website. If you just type it into Google Mesilla plan, it's the first page that comes up. You can access the draft plan. Again, there's a variety of ways to download and comment, and however you feel most comfortable. We're really, I just again want to appreciate you all. I want to thank you all for your time and energy and effort throughout this whole process, but especially right now as we're really starting to dial in and again, wanting to just deliver the best plan for your community that makes sense and reflects your needs. And
Yeah, thank you so much for your energy. This was a really productive session for us, so.
yeah.
The plan is on the website as well, so the plan is on the first page of the website.
Yes.
At the top of the bar.
Yes.
Make sure it's all friends and family.
And that's-
About that, jump in there, take a look at it, go in and do the other document.
Yeah.
Give feedback.
Yes, Mesilla plan on Google, and it'll be there. Very essential. Yeah. Oh, sure.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys. Just as.
Working in the background.
Hey, well, we had that welfare question. One person who would know. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, she's
On Friday.
Somebody's gone. It's not mine. Yeah, 'cause I try to use Bluetooth for it.
I wanted to see. Our streets are not the best, but they're not something.
Thank you for your time, I appreciate
I know, yeah. I'll get this one to you. Sure.
I mean, she needs something to do. Whatever you can help me with, put it in where she needs something to do. Welcome back. She's up to, this weekend she is really, we got a lot of stuff there. That's what she's like, she's. I just get over there now.
I ate good, good.
So that's the best thing about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's stick to your roots.
Yep. See, like I said, just like anything, you have
Yeah. It'll wear off.
yeah, it's still. I know.
Yeah, I've had to rearrange.
Follow up to me, that's my whole
So we have some just about, I was going to get all of them.
Yeah, so,
Thanks, guys. Okay, I'll see you
I don't know. I don't know who swatched us around. Well, you're running the meeting, I would assume, but I don't know who shoved you way down there. I've always been here.
Somebody's already sitting right there.
He always puts himself over
You like, well, just run it from down there. You get to be where you want to be.
That's right.
Wait,
Doesn't matter.
oh, that's fine.
Then you sit on the other side of me.
That's right.
I'll sit over here. I'll sit over here on the opposite side of you. I gotta go take a break. Oh, it's cold in here. Turn that heater on. Do I what?
I always have a sweater
I
in my car.
usually do, and I clean it out, and I took it inside. Excuse me? Yes.
I know it's.
Test, test.
We don't have it. We don't have different. Thanks for doing the cat duty.
When I sent the packet, they weren't all
That's common. That's common. Just this. We're gonna get canceled out and come in and establish a meeting and additional conversation.
Okay, yeah.
Even what was I gonna say to
How are you? I know I was thinking.
Yes.
Traje las 10 copias. Ya cambiaron lo de Baby. Esas son las tecapis.
Ok, gracias.
We'll see that noise. But give her a call. Yeah, I'm sure she more than willing to help you out. ¿Qué pasó? I didn't tell her.
I can see you. I'm
Yeah,
getting
yeah, I'm thinking. I'm the state.
That's why
I actually. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, but I'm still thinking.
I'm sorry?
Is this?
Yeah, he fixed.
Fix that.
Can what?
Pues ya tengo 2 años, no me puedes. Ya mis Yo iba a retirarme el año pasado. Luego me pusieron gobierno. Las primeras fue bien. So, hice la otra. Y cuando hice la otra en octubre, desde octubre hasta ahora, no me equivoqué. Ahora estoy batallando un poco con mi rodilla. Ahora estoy pensando, no, chance que iba a quedar. No, es el otro. Pues no, balada de tiempos. Oh, sí. Sí. Y yo andaba ahí el miércoles de la semana pasada y vinieron mis patrones a Santa Fe mirando y chequeando cosas donde tú botabas. Y ellos nunca han entendido. Está bien feo. Querían venir a chequear cómo estaba. Fueron patrón todo. ¿Qué vas a hacer?
A ver si quiere. Ya me está diciendo que él no va a quedar. Si yo me voy, es que tiene que apoyar. Pero el primer ¿qué es lo que necesitan?
Además, si tienes licencia, es más importante.
Licencia de
Porque ya sabes casi todo. Y luego tienes que agarrar una test.
Hello.
El malo, sí es chance porque muchos no quieren hacerlo. Porque tienes que dejar ahí tu licencia.
Como Andy, que la metí con los abogados. Yo quiero un año como forma. Y pues yo puedo aplicar para
Oh.
¿Y quién aplica?
Yeah. ¿Cuánto tiene?
Sleeping quarters.
Ya, si tiene, es casi como tienes, como vas a sacar tu licencia para la conducción. ¿Tienes tu licencia o has trabajado con alguien? Si menos 4 a 6 años. Corriendo el trabajo. Y con eso es todo lo que estamos.
Voy a preguntarle a ver si quiere aplicar. Ahorita tiene 37 años.
Apenas ocupé a Lobos.
Chavo de Gabriela. Se rayó ese chavo.
A tener problemas con ellos. ¿No?
¿Por qué?
Porque no
pone atención.
No ponen atención y luego quieren estar mucho en la casa con su familia y este trabajo no se puede, no. Y ya les dije que es como yo ahorita ando de vacaciones esta semana, pero tuve que venir a trabajar porque ellos no metieron sus timesheets, no metieron los reportes del mes antes del viernes. Ahora estoy teniendo que.
Pues el Andy le hizo coach el oso.
Sí, pero sí me dijo el oso, y porque yo todo el tiempo le pregunto, usted vas a subir, cuando yo me voy, usted vas a subir a este lugar. No, yo no lo quiero.
Sí es más responsabilidad,
porque para mí es mucho. Pero si usted quiere nomás hacer una inspección, haces tu trabajo y te vas a la casa. Yo nunca paro. Me levanto
a mirado que no se chinga.
Es como tener tu comunidad, nunca paras.
Pero, ¿ya cumpliste los 62? ¿Las 62? ¿Ya tienes 62 ahorita?
Sí, yo tengo 65. Puede tener 65 en noviembre.
Soy un año mayor que tú.
Por eso también estoy pensando.
Pues espérate un rato, todo ahorita hay gente.
Apenas me dieron un riso.
Chingón. No quieren que te vayas, es que no hay nadie.
No hay porque nadie sabe lo que está pasando aquí. Como yo tengo tantos años, pues yo vivo aquí, yo nací aquí. Y nadie sabe. ¿Quién sabe?
¿Tu mamá cómo se llama? ¿Tu mamá cómo se llama?
Bien, un día bien, un día. Ahorita anda poco malita de las piernas.
¿Cómo pasan los años? Así fue. Miré al Frank, al Mark
Torres.
Anda bien despacito ya.
Ya tengo años que no miro al Mark.
Ya lo miré el otro día.
Me quedé todo.
Ya se fueron los pinches años. A ver qué sale. Ándale pues, gusto verte.
Pues tú también. A ver cómo se hace. Pero ya estos son los nuevos.
Estos son, traje estos con el cambio del
chichi,
pero lo más me falta la estampa del arquitecto.
Okay. Ya nomás hazlo antes que metas el permiso. Y con eso.
Well, this is almost 2.5 hours at the border last night. Got back Picks you up at your door and it's so nice.
It's so good. 80 millions?
Just in time?
Just in time. Hopefully. You ask a question, you say no comment.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It is 6 o'clock. We are at the Planning and Zoning and Historical Appropriateness Commission meeting. It's a regular meeting here at the Town Hall in Mesilla, 2231 Avenida de Mesilla. Well, let's go ahead and stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Salazar, can we request a roll call?
Yes, Vice Chair Gallegos,
Present.
Commissioner Miller,
Present.
Commissioner Mulvihill,
Present.
Commissioner Alviar. Mr. Vice Chair, you do have quorum. We do have Chairperson Walkinshaw absent, as well as trustees alternate Lucero and Paz.
Okay, moving on to changes and approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
If there's no discussion, I'll go ahead and take roll call, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair.
Yes.
Okay. Vice Chair Gallegos?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm taking roll call.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Mulvihill,
Yes.
and Commissioner Alviar. Mr. Chair, motion passes 4-0.
Mr. Salazar, time for public input. Is there anyone that would like to? Please come up and just identify yourself. Thank you.
Mary Helen Taylor Ricci, and I wanted to comment on the construction plans for the restroom expansion at the Basilica. As a parishioner there and knowing how large the what do you call them? Parishioners are it's over 1,000, I know. The need for bathroom expansion is very much needed. I watch the mayordomos go back and forth trying to get them into one bathroom. So I'm hoping to hear about this plan and to see if it'll get passed. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Roman Prieto. I'm here representing for the case number 062041. There's a small correction for that. It's 3260 Avenida de Mesilla for the address, not Calle de Avenida. I just wanted to say that it's listed as a subdivision. We are not creating a subdivision. We're not creating additional lots. We're simply moving some lot lines and trying to create legal conforming lots for those parcels. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, let's move on to approval of consent agenda.
I move to accept the consent agenda as printed.
Okay, first motion was made by Commissioner Miller, second motion by Commissioner Alvear. If there's no discussion, I'll go ahead and take a roll call. Vice Chair Gallegos,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Mulvihill,
Yes.
and Commissioner Alvear.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Okay, now it's time for action and consideration. First on our agenda, Mr. Salazar, we want to discuss that, correct? This is a subdivision case number 062041.
I'll go ahead and give a summary on this. This is case number 062041, 3260 Avenida de Mesilla, submitted by Mr. Roman Prieto. He is requesting approval for lot line adjustments. This is in the residential agricultural zone. Mr. Presto is requesting approval to realign 4 of his properties that are adjacent to each other. Currently, now our properties are conforming lots. Being approved for this request will make all the 4 properties conforming, which I think this is what we want as Mesilla. And the current lot sizes are as follows. And I listed them by the Doña Ana County parcel code, parcel account number, and then the sizes of the properties and what it is requesting to be afterwards. According to our code, it does fall under the alternate summary subdivision, which is there's no increase in lots. It's just again property lots size, property lot lines adjustments to make all 4 properties conforming. One of the key things that I did make sure that the properties were not landlocked. Some of those properties are away from the beginning of the year, and I did include some deeds on there to those properties that a road easement to those lots. So therefore, they will not be landlocked after if approved or considered for approval. This request. That's my question.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm,
First and second one?
go ahead. I don't know how to motion it.
Oh, I move to discuss case 062041, 3260 Avenida de Mesilla.
Se-
First motion by Commissioner Miller to approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay. So I was going to ask that question about the landlock as well, because I wasn't sure. I know that it says that there's an easement on there already. It was 7 foot, right? The easement that they have are 10 foot?
There's two properties. Which one are we?
Well, I was looking at, if you come off of Avenida de Mesilla, it looks like there's only one. Am I reading that right? Or this one is only one can be accessed. What's happening with those 2? Yes, the very first one, yeah. So the first one has access through Avenida de Mesilla, right?
The first one here has access to Mesilla de Mesilla.
Right.
The second one here has access to Union.
Okay,
It's again,
Oh, okay.
It's listed in the.
right. I did read that, but so I was just kind of concerned as well. So I was wondering about the easement. Is there like a minimum footage that we have to have on that or not?
A minimum width,
Yes.
no, not.
No,
not-
okay.
We rely on the engineers, and generally that I haven't seen anything more than 16 feet. But the engineers, because it's a private easement, typically, something like that would be, okay. Now, fire code would probably be involved with that as well. But again, this is not a subdivision request.
Right.
This is just for the purpose of providing.
Right.
Can Mr. Prieto clarify if it's possible?
Now, if he wants to later on, try to subdivide, then obviously we have to.
Mhm.
Okay.
They're currently 20 foot.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I was somewhere I saw 50.
Well, half of it, half of it, yeah, half of it.
That's gonna be off of Guadalupe. That's one of the other parcels.
Okay.
Okay.
The one on the right top is actually, has two easements, one is on top of Guadalupe, and it turns into.
Mm-hmm.
No, the only reason is because I read in the code somewhere, I thought that it said 50 feet, but maybe I was reading something else. Yeah, for the easement, no, okay.
Something
Alright.
like that, generally thought it was for the turnaround.
Oh, okay, you're right.
But, the new fire code is 90 feet.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Commissioner Ovia?
I just have a kind of a personal question for Mr. Prieto. I just wanted to know, they're non-conforming lots. Our code always wants them to conform. Why would you want it to do that now? I mean, is that not serving your purpose? And you don't have to answer that question because it is kind of personal, I think. I don't need to know, but you just want to make them?
We were able to acquire more property,
Oh, okay,
and that's why they're
I see.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I would have left them the way they were, like not conform to, we want to be the non-conformist people, so I would have just left them. But if you wanted to conform for a reason, I thought that would be interesting. But all good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
So, okay. Move to vote.
Don't we have to have another motion though? Because she motioned for discussion. So now we have to have a motion to approve?
No, whenever she said motion for discussion, I.
Oh, you changed it?
Motion
Oh,
to
okay.
verify that's what's
Oh,
technical
Okay.
All right, so we're ready to vote, we'll go ahead.
Yes.
It's going to be Vice Chair Gallegos,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
and Commissioner Oviedo.
Yes.
Yes, that's the motion passes.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready, Mr. Salazar.
Okay, I'm ready.
Right,
All right,
okay.
so, the next one we do have in line is, case number 062403. This is at 2870 McDowell Court. It was submitted by Jessica Spires, requesting approval to restore a previously burned primary structure back to its original state. The zone is single family residential. Ms. Spires has contracted for construction to do the project. For construction has been issued a skilled business license. The project will consist of restoring the building back to its original state, with the exception of the bay window. They will be converted to a door. Application has been submitted, plans, contract agreement, contract information, proof of ownership, and some pictures. Originally, there wasn't a structural inspection, engineer inspection on it. After speaking with Mr. Maesa, it was submitted, but it's not included in the production report. But it was submitted, and he did review it, and we were pretty excited. I take it as he approved. And other than that, I'll send my questions.
I have a question.
Yes, Commissioner Mulvey. Oh, yes.
Oh.
Apologies.
I have a motion that we accept case number 062043.
Second.
What?
They have the wrong number. So
Oh, they have the wrong number on here?
Yeah, there is a discrepancy.
No.
Which case is it, Mr. Souza? Do we know?
It's a B,
10.
two different numbers.
Yeah.
it's just that there's just one, it's the one and a
061.
2, that's all. So there was probably a
A
typo.
typo.
So, I'm sorry, say again, do we need a motion?
Yes.
We actually need clarification on which numbers the case is.
I think, yeah, it's just a typo.
We're on B.
This is, yes, 061403 at 2870.
Okay. So that's
Can
the
you read me the
official.
number one more time?
It's on here.
061, that's supposed to be 062.
Okay.
Yes, there's 2.
043.
04, yeah,
Oh.
062, 043.
Okay, so, okay, for clarification, I make a motion to approve case number 061043.
And I'll second.
Case number is 062.
It is a 2?
It is a 2.
It's right here.
Just what time to vote?
On-
I know, but this is,
No, I know, but he's saying it's this one.
okay, all right. Okay,
My apologies.
clarification. I motion that we approve 062043.
There we
And I'll second it again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any questions?
I do.
Commissioner
So I
Romero.
was looking at the pictures and stuff, and I know that I didn't see where anybody had signed off on it, but I was wondering if the fire marshal was okay with like the trellises or trusses and stuff that are like completely burned. I guess they'll be replaced.
Yes, that is what Mr. Maese I commented on, Mr. Maese requested. Was
Okay.
a structural inspection of the whole building to make sure that they are going to withstand.
Okay.
For the
Okay.
building.
And then Mr. Maese, do you have any other comments for us on this one?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, in regards to this project, yes, you're probably gonna see it an approval on the paperwork because it was approved late. And the reason being is because of the fact that the homeowner and the contractor were able to provide us the proper documentation, engineering analysis and documentation that we needed to support all the work that was gonna be done to the house. In regards to the fire inspection, typically, on residential, the fire inspectors leave it up to us as building inspectors to make that determination. Thus, the reasoning for the engineer's report.
Okay.
There's part of the roof's gonna be redone, completely torn off and redone, part of it's gonna be salvaged, what can be salvaged. All the plumbing, electrical, mechanical is gonna be redone throughout the house. So they have vetted the house and they're kind of pretty much start from scratch again, as much as possible, and salvage as much as possible. But at this time, they have provided all the information we required and it has been approved accordingly.
Good enough,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Lovell, I think I understand why the question, I don't know if you were at the bench whenever I passed the copies of the application that have been signed.
Right. I just saw it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you.
I put them all up there because,
Mhm.
some of the fire chief and, they're not always available when I send them out, and I really try hard to get the package off to you on my Wednesday, but I'm waiting on them, for their signature, so.
I apologize. I was looking at it. I thought this was the one for the church. So thank you.
Any other questions?
No, okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I call the agenda again.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
I'll go ahead and take, Vice Chair Leos,
Yes.
Commissioner,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobile,
Yes.
and Commissioner Mobile.
Yes.
special motion passes 4-0. The last one we have on our agenda is case number 062405. This is 2270 Calle de Principal, was submitted by Mesilla PZHAC and requesting approval to expand on the bathroom addition in a sense. It is for commercial.
Yeah.
Background analysis, Basilica Salavino is requesting approval to expand the bathroom. Currently, there's only one bathroom being used by both sexes. According to the applicant, there always seems to be a long waiting line to use the bathroom. The bathroom being constructed is for the women. The building being constructed is number 114 on our historic registry. This 114, this building is south of and adjacent to the above mentioned residence. It also was part of a complex that is cited in number 113. The building is stucco, has a flat roof or parapet, and has metal casement windows. The building fronts the street as does the adjacent building to the north. It is currently owned by the Catholic Church and is used for catechism classes, estimated 1850. Also, Ms. Diana Aguilar is also, has also reviewed this application. One of the things that we talk a lot about when it comes to historic buildings is to be able to distinguish the new addition to the historic building. And two is one of the things also that she brought up that I didn't catch was, whenever you, in case you do have to remove the addition for whatever reason, that you won't destroy the integrity of the historic. I mean, obviously you might get some, cosmetic damages, stuff like that, but the integrity on it. So these are the plans. Again, this is also another application that I took a copy of the application itself with the signature. The only signature that we didn't get, or I didn't get, was Mr. Maese. He is here tonight. Is because there was some issues with the CID layout or floor plan. The applicant did fix that. He did submit this here, the last revisions. Mr. Maese is here, and then you can answer any questions if you don't have.
Okay. Can I get a motion? Oh, not yet. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Reyes. Go ahead. I was just looking for a motion, but you can go ahead and continue if you need to further discuss what Mr. Salazar was speaking of.
I move to approve PZHAC case 062045.
Second.
Do we not need a vote? We don't need a vote?
No, we will do this. If you have any
Just discussion?
questions, if you have
Okay.
questions,
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Maesa.
Any questions?
Yeah, can you explain to us what you found in your report or what is lacking that the
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, in regards to this case, the applicant had submitted a set of drawings that unfortunately, under the requirements for the handicap accessibility, there was a violation there on the original drawings. I did return with my comments back to Mr. Salazar. Mr. Salazar did reach out to the applicant and the contractor. And as of tonight, those have been revised and altered to show, and the thing that was causing the most is unfortunately, under the ADA requirements, the code that requires to have a baby change in within the area. The location of the original drawings were showing it within the hallway. And unfortunately, code only allows you to encroach into the hallway a couple of inches. And that's for people with wheelchairs or somebody blind isn't going to run into it and hurt themselves. So because of that, the location of the baby changing table was relocated within the bathroom itself, and they were able to accommodate that. So as of tonight, the plans have been redrawn. They are awaiting engineer approval on the do meet code, and I already discussed it with the contractor that before it comes to CID for building permit, we need to stamp off.
That's
All the remainder, all the electrical, mechanical, and plumbing items have all been addressed, approved, and stamped by an engineer. So at this time, everything looks to be in order.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, commissioners?
No.
So Vice Chair, I'd like to kind of add a little bit to that. We discussed, Mr. Maez's role, in our applications, that he needs to make sure that, he reviews them. He's a building inspector expert, right? And he reviews them to make sure that it's in compliance with what he submitted. I think it's a great idea that he reviews it with us. That way the applicant kind of gets a head start on what the review process is whenever it goes to the office. Not only that, is the paperwork that gets submitted is stamped before it leaves the office. So that way, so it is encouraged that those paperwork and the engineer stamps also be included in the packets. But, right, but there's always but, our code does not require for them to be inspected and approved by building code, right? It needs to meet the building code once it leaves this place. So, I think there's a miscommunication between what is required and what Mr. Maez's rules play. I think he has said it multiple times that, according to a Mesilla code, it does meet the standards, but a lot of times there's these workable conditions that need to be set. And the reason why I say that, not just because of this case, but many other cases that we've done already in the past, we've saved a lot of time and due process for a lot of the applicants to be setting conditions to make sure that these applications are approved according to our code, but yet the conditions could be set that needs follow up with the recommendation of Mr. Maez. So it's important that we remember that. I know a lot of times when we go to the board of trustees, it doesn't always happen, right? But again, what happens there, I think you all do a great job doing that. Mr. Mayor, I think does a great job doing that. We just can't stop what happens or what doesn't happen in the board of trustees. But I think based on our code, I can read it directly from our code, and I tell you exactly what that says. That no engineer stamp. The only thing that needs to be engineer stamp is if you're proposing a building or a structure that is within the 5 feet of the setback. That is the only time it needs to be engineer stamp. I can read that to you verbatim if you like. Other than that, plans are submitted, but they're not only for so you guys know what's going on, right? Hey, this is a building, this is that, but he needs to submit plans, engineer stamp before our approval. The code does not specify.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other?
No, sir.
Mr. Mayor, you have anything? No? Okay. All right, Mr. Chair, if I can take a roll. Vice Chair Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Mobile?
Yes.
And Commissioner O'Gara?
Yes.
This question motion passes 4-0.
Okay, move along.
I think the next one was 7, correct?
Okay, it's time for commissioners and staff comments. Commissioners, any comments at this time? Mr. Salazar.
I just have one
Oh, here we go.
that's not really relevant to the meeting, but I will not be able to go to the training session that's coming in October.
Same. I cannot, yeah. Red River, I wanted to go to Red River.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that, and then, emails, I know they're being delayed, Ms. Dorothy was gonna stay tonight and, get them all processed through, and it's a pain in the butt. But now that, we have some, different, movements in the commissioner, the mayor would like to make sure that, you know, the emails are directed to the position, not so much the person. So if somebody in the community wants to get a hold of, you know, the secretary or the vice chair, or whoever, they know exactly, not just by name, by, you know, the commissioner that is going to see. I'll have to advise when that's gonna happen, but, just remember, whenever, you know, you get a new email, or I call you and notify you, you sign in to your new email, it has to be done on your desktop. If you don't your desktop, and anytime after that, then you can use any device with that, okay? Other than that, Mr. Vice, you said you have anything, right? Okay, good, that's all I have.
Okay. Well, if there's no further discussion or objection, I will call this meeting as adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Salazar.
Pretty easy one, huh?
That was the second one in a row that it was messing around. I've been on this commission since January of last year, and that was like 2 in a row. I can't believe it.
Are you complaining?
No, I'm not.